Iran confirmed its president will attend the OIC Extraordinary Summit in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on Sunday. The summit, which will mainly discuss the latest situation in Gaza, is expected to come up with united recommendation by OIC on the settlement of Israel-Palestine conflict in Gaza. To get an insight on the upcoming OIC summit and settlement of the conflict, we will talk with Yon Mahmoudi, Head of Middle East Program of the University of Indonesia. Good afternoon, Pak Yon. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us this afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Of course, Pak Yon, if you don't mind, we'd like to dive right into our questions for you. So as you know, in this latest ongoing clash between Israel and Hamas that is turning into another catastrophic episode in Gaza, one of the biggest worries is that the war in Gaza will spill over into the region, causing repercussions, particularly in the neighboring countries to Israel and Palestine. And that is one of the reasons why the OIC will hold an extraordinary summit in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on Sunday, which will be interestingly attended by Iran. Now, before we talk more about the significance of the summit, Pak Yon, could you please give us some background on Iran's involvement in this latest clash to give us a better understanding of the actors involved in the conflict and also some better context for it? Please, Pak Yon.
Yes, okay. As we know that Iranian government are suspect to be involved in supervising the resistance group, in particular Hamas in Gaza. So for that reason, that the resistance conducted by the Hamas, mostly, suspect, to have relation with the Iranian government. So for this reason, I think we see the position of the Iran is very important, in order to, to balance the situation, not to go further into a more widespread war between between the Israel and also the neighboring country. But of course, the Iranian want to have the guarantee that the war on the Gaza and the attack on Gaza will have the very soon ceasefire. So in order to make Israel to stop the war. For this perspective, I think so the relationship between the war in Gaza between the Israel and the Palestinian resistance representative by the Hamas, or of course also related to the Iran that have direct or indirect relationship with the Hamas.
Okay, now, Pak Yon, but how much weight does Iran actually carry, that Iran actually has in its involvement in helping to resolve the Israel-Palestine crisis?
Yes, of course, when the situation in the Palestinian, and particularly the voice to have the independence for the Palestinian people not really exists, and almost close by the Israel. So the involvement of the Iran become very important to keep the spirit of the resistance against the Israel, and to keep the spirit of the Palestinian people to fight against Israel in order to have the independent. But when the war already happened, so I think it is important to have kind of dialogue and to have kind of negotiation in order to stop or to finish the war, and can talk in terms of stopping the violence that exists, and also stop the attack to the Palestinian people in Gaza. So in this case, I think the Iranian also have the role in order to talk to the Hamas, and also comprehensive peace talk in Middle East we need to have kind of the approach of the what we call, I think, inclusive approach, not to exclude any party that probably have a different opinion, different stand, or consider to be the party that the who carry the problem itself. But of course, for the varying party, for the Hamas, for the Iran who also have the involvement in this kind of the conflict, it is necessary, I think, to include them, to talk about the possible process toward the permanent peace. Because if they exclude any party, or we don't want to have certain country to be involved in the peace process, then I think the process toward the peace will not work very well. So I think all the parties that involved in the conflict should be included, including also the Iranian state.
Okay, Payon, now when we talk about the Middle East region, there have actually been some reconciliation that has been achieved. Like, for instance, the reconciliation between Saudi Arabia and Iran, and also the reconciliation between Saudi Arabia and Israel. Now, do you think this new development in reconciliations in the Middle East region will actually help the conflict settlement between Israel and Palestine?
Yeah, I think this progress is very important. So the relationship, good rapprochement between the Saudi and Iran, become kind of something, give perspective of the good prospects for the peace in the future, because the problem, the conflict between Iran and the Saudi happened, for long decade, and this caused many destabilization in the region. So it means that the good relationship, reconciliation between Iran and Saudi at least solve half of the problem in the Middle East. So if we also see the relationship between Israel and the Saudi also become necessary in order to make the progress of the peace. But of course, we are lack of the half of the problem in the Middle East. That is the problem of the Israel and Palestinian people. So the we need to have reconciliation between the Saudi and the Iranian, between Saudi and Israel. But the most important is to have the reconciliation and also normalization relationship between the Israel and the people of the Palestinian. So if the reconciliation of the people of the Palestinian and Israel happen, and also at the same time we have the reconciliation between Iran and the Saudi, then they can talk together and can bring the prospect of the peace in the region. I think that will be very significant for the region of the Middle East toward the peace.
Okay, Payon, my next few questions is about the significance of the OIC Extraordinary Summit that's going to happen on Sunday. Now, I want to go back to a statement made by the Palestinian ambassador to the UN, Riyad Mansour, who said last week about the UN that the Security Council is unable to act collectively. And of course, Payon, we've seen in many previous instances the helplessness of the UN to resolve the conflict between Israel and Palestine. Now, how do you think the OIC will differ? Will they have more success and impact compared to the UN in reaching the peace process in Palestine?
Yeah, if we see that the role of the UN right now is not so significant, because there is no any decision that can make the Israel to stop the war, or to make this fire. So we need another mechanism to solve the problem, and hopefully also, even though we are not so confident, we are not so sure that the OIC can play the significant role in order to resolve the conflict. But of course, there is hope when we see that there are so many leaders within the Islamic and the Muslim country to meet and to have to discuss about the current situation, the brutal attack of the Israel to the Gaza. So at least there is kind of a different mechanism, not only focusing on the condemning the Israel and also another kind of the statement, but at least also have the further action, for instance, to use any kind of the resources have by the Muslim country, for instance, using the economic sanction, the oil sanction into those who involved and those who are complicit in the terror difference between the UN and OIC.
Okay, Pak Yon, one last question before we let you go. What would be your prediction on the result or recommendation or maybe even a communique that will be produced in the upcoming OIC summit, Pak Yon?
Yeah, I think this summit and meeting will be a little bit different because we see the attempt of the president of the Iran who make the meeting become more dynamic, because before all the decision mainly directed and supervised by the Saudi, and we know that Saudi is the very close ally of the US, and also have before have good relationship and with the Israel. But when we talk about this important meeting, the OIC, and there is also the another leader of the state that is come from the Iran and other country that I think have different view and also different aspiration in order to solve the problem. So I think the statement will stronger and harder as we see before. So not only to condemn the Israel, but there is kind of spirit to unite them in order to stop the war, and also use any kind of the necessary power in order to stop, either by using the economic sanction and or other mechanism that make Israel to stop the war.
Pak Yon Mahmudi, Head of Middle East Program of University of Indonesia, we truly appreciate your insights and assessment on the conflict happening right now in Gaza. Thank you so much, Pak Yon. We wish you well, and hopefully we can see you again on TVRI World.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.